Hello everybody, Ron Milligan, owner and managing broker of RE/MAX Select here in Portland's Pearl District. And what I have for you today are the latest market statistics for the close-in condo market. That's our own special sample that we've been taking for a couple of years now, just gauging how the market's been doing it. We do it on the 15th of every month, and we look back over the last 30 days, comparing it to how things were due the previous month and doing last year. Our sampling, as I said, condominiums only, no townhouses, no single-family homes. We don't even include the co-op building. And it's just for condominiums from the North Pearl down to the South Waterfront and from the river over to the West Hills, just in that area exclusively. So what we saw this month were an increase in the number of active listings. So the active listings went from 183 up to 210, which is a 14.7% increase versus last month at this time. Not a big surprise there. We're seeing the exact same thing in the single-family home market. And we expect that as we start to head towards spring, folks are listing their properties to sell in anticipation of catching that spring buying season, typically our most busy time on the residential real estate market. So not a surprise there. And like I said, we're seeing that for the whole Portland metro area, an increase in the number of active listings. So supply is increasing pretty much across the board. For pending listings, a little bit of a surprise. We were down this month versus last month. So last month at this time, 122 listings that were under contract. So sort of our measure of demand, how many buyers are out there looking, 122 were under contract. This month, 101. So it's a little bit of a surprise based on the activity that we've been seeing, the number of condos that have been hitting the market and going under contract rather quickly. Part of the reason for that could just be the number of closings that we had in the last 30 days. That number was up from the previous month. That was around 71. We closed 102 during that time period. That is a 44% increase versus February, from February to March. Not a surprise, we're entering a busier time on our market. Was a bit of a surprise it was that big of a jump. And then just for context, I went and looked back at how we did last year at this time, and the number was about half. So we closed about half as many transactions last March in 2021 as we did in the last 30 days here in 2022. So good news there. Inventory in months, when I calculate the inventory in months, which is that another sort of measure of supply and demand for real estate, given no new listings at the current rate of sales, how long would it take to sell everything on the market right now? That number is 2.05 months. That's not days on market. This is different. This is how long would it take everything to sell, measure of supply and demand. Previous month, that was 2.58 months that we had of inventory. And what we generally consider to be a balanced market used to be 6 months of inventory. That was neither a buyer's nor seller's advantage, was a balanced market. A lot of analysts have been moving that timeline down lower to like 5 months and then 4 months, and I've even heard 3 months recently. But generally, I think a balanced market's somewhere between 4 to 6 months of inventory, and we are definitely in seller's advantage territory. Now, that being said, we've had seller's advantage numbers for quite some time, but it has not felt like a seller's advantage. Very few showings, not a lot of folks out there looking around at condominiums. That seems to have changed in the last month and a half or so. Market really started to feel like it turned a corner, I want to say maybe a month and a half ago, where properties started to hit the market and sell rather quickly, like in less than a week. Prior to that, we were advising our sellers when they listed, hey, this is going to be a long haul for us. This is going to take us 2 to 3 months to sell. The average time on market was above 2 months of time on market before the sellers received an offer. But what we did know at that time was that the folks who were out looking, they weren't tire kickers, they weren't looky-loos, they were serious buyers. And you may only have 3 or 4 showings over a period of 2 months, but one of those buyers is going to buy your condo. So we had to preach a lot of patience. Now the market's changed. And we've been running into situations where our agents who are representing buyers are hitting multiple offer situations for properties that are hitting the market. Keep in mind that these are properties that are hitting on all cylinders. You know, they've got good staging, great condition, nice views, healthy HOAs, good locations, that sort of thing. Everything is looking good. Boom, they're selling pretty quickly. And those complexes with high HOAs, they're still kind of sitting, you know, for obvious reasons. So the properties that did sell, how did they do on the market? For the average sale price as a percentage of the original asking price, they came in at 97.5%, not terrible. The median was at 96.84% of the asking price. So also not terrible. You know, we like to see that number somewhere around 98% in a normal market. So we're definitely moving from the mid and sometimes lower 90s up higher, and we like to see that number on the rise, so that's good. The number of days on market, though, was a drastic change. So the previous month, so in February, the average days on market, the collective, like every single day that property spent on the market, was at 50, and the median was at 81. I'm sorry, I got that backwards. Average was 81 days on market, median was 50. This month, the median is 15, not 50, but 15, and the average went from 81 down to 65 days on market. That is a huge drop in a single month, which is just speaking to how many properties are selling really quickly, and it's dragging those numbers down fast. So good news for folks who are thinking about selling. The one part that's a little bit disconcerting is the average sale price. So the year to date, comparing January and February of this year to January and February of last year, how are we doing? The average sale price is actually down. It's down 5.7%. So for everything that's sold so far, you know, we're 5.7% behind where we were last year at this time for average sale price. That's actually depreciation. Part of that just could be, you know, we turned a corner, sellers found the price where buyers are interested, and buyers are coming out now in stronger numbers to buy condominiums. So I suspect that we're going to see that number start to rise as we head towards May, and we run into, you know, we start closing these transactions that over the last 3 to 4 weeks have been going under contract with multiple offers, and in some cases over asking price. So of course we'll keep an eye on that, these numbers, and let you know what's going on next month, but I suspect that we're going to see better numbers than we saw, at least in the average sale price for next month. Okay, so as I always say, all real estate is local. If you've got a question about what's going on in your neck of the woods, or your neighborhood, or even just your building, feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to share what we know. And we will see you next month.